Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my poetry corner. I am Arrey Ivo. In today's program, I shall be treating my poem titled Guamo the Unknown Tribe. I am Arrey Ivo, and thanks for tuning in. The poem reads thus: The unknown tribe, living millions of years now in the forest thickness of the islands of Madagascar. They select a bird of the scarus family and wheel towards coastal villages to learn of the languages they, by isolation, could not understand. After 10 years of peeping, listening, mimicking, and observing, the bird of the scarus family returns to Guamo, the land of the unknown tribe. They needed to talk to the coastal villages who had dumped poison into sea, destroyed vegetation, and caused the sea to rise and the sun to stay stark and wild across their native heaven. The unknown tribe now selects a delegation of 100 to meet the coastal community. They arrive on the backs of giant tortoises, famed by eastern myths to increase potency, but trained by the tribe to be loyal servants and talented magicians. In the dialect of Guamo, the tortoises were called Lokoro. So they meet the coastal villagers and lay their complaint via Senen, the trained bird of the scarus family. The coastal villagers gave them meat, which they denied for coconut water. They talk, and the coastal villagers were made to see their ills in a puddle of magical water designed to reveal videos of their past indignation upon the islands of Madagascar. The villagers swear to moderate at any given rate their actions for fear of retaliation from the tortoises now flaming with fire and snorting thunders from glowing nostrils. Then after midnight, Jengele, the head of the unknown tribe, salutes his hosts and orders his men to mount their tortoises back to expectant Guamo. Before they left, they promised on their own part to pray to their Almighty God Mandem to refreeze the unfrozen lands across the earth and to bring again life and sunshine upon the coastal villages. Now we shall be delving into the poem to understand how I crafted it in the nitty-gritty or its substance. So the title of the poem once again is Guamo the Unknown Tribe. And the first line of the poem is the unknown tribe. It is a reiteration of the fact that the subject matter of this poem has not been delved into by anyone, and also that the tribe in focus, which is Guamo, has not been written about in literature, or this tribe has not been photographed. And so we are now getting the first drama or story about the tribe from the speaker. It is also a literary technique to keep the audience captive and to suggest that they are about to learn something new, which is also a way of saying that they will not be bored, or their data of knowledge is going to be increased if they continue to listen to the poetry. So the unknown tribe, living millions of years now in the forest thickness of the islands of Madagascar. We now know the tribe has been existing for millions of years now, yet they are unknown but they are found in the forest thickness of the islands of Madagascar, to show that these tribes, or the tribe of Guamo, is supposed to be hidden. There is the use of the word thickness and also the word forest, which means that where they live is dense and impenetrable. But then we now have geography about where this drama is taking place, and we now know it is around the islands of Madagascar. So the people, or the beings in Guamo, in the next line, they select a bird of the scarus family. The scarus family are birds which fall in the same phylum with parrots, which means they are birds that are capable of learning languages or understanding languages faster. And these people of Guamo selected a bird of that scarus family, and the fact that it is not being mentioned here is also to, the name of the bird is not being mentioned here, is also to arouse even more curiosity about what they are about to do. And wheel towards coastal villages, they said the wheel the bird towards coastal villages. The use of the word wheel shows that it was probably having no other option but to follow the rules of the people. And will also means that it may mean that the bird was being pushed by some metaphysical, spiritual, and strong force to carry out its duty. And so we now realize that the poem, in a way, is also a transcendent poem, in that it is able to mesh the needs of the people with the beckoning of a bird to perform. And we see now then that the journey of the bird is towards coastal villages, and the issue is it has to learn the languages that they by isolation could not understand, which means they have not been able to mix up with the people who are in the coastal communities. But then they know these people exist, and they are sending the bird to go there to learn of this language. After 10 years, the next lines continue, of peeping, listening, mimicking, and observing, the bird of the scarus family returns to Guamo, the land of the unknown tribe. So we now know that the bird spent 10 years to try to learn the languages of the coastal communities. But to justify the task that the bird had to carry out, we do not only have 10 years being mentioned in the poetry, we have the words peeping, listening, mimicking, and observing. All these 4 words are an alliteration, and it is a way to keep captive the modern generation, which is very glued to their digital devices, to their electronic devices, in knowing that the bird was performing something that was also contemporary. It was peeping, it was spying, it was listening, it had an audio capacity, it was mimicking, it was replicating, it was observing. So after 10 years, the bird of the scarus family returns to Guamo, the land of the unknown tribe. They needed to talk to the coastal villages or villagers who had dumped poison into sea, destroyed vegetation, and caused the sea to rise and the sun to stay stark and wild across their native heaven. We now know why the bird was sent to the coastal communities was for a bigger issue. The bigger issue was that the coastal communities had dumped poison into sea. Poison actually is a metaphor for pollution, and it had destroyed vegetation. They had destroyed vegetation, which means that they were not eco-friendly. And this tribe supposedly has high moral and environmental positions on this kind of issues. And the coastal communities had also caused the sea to rise and the sun to stay stark and wild across their native heaven. We now have a very strong descriptive of climate change upon the islands of Madagascar, which are now described as a once native heaven in order to contrast these things that the coastal communities have done upon the beauty of the place, which include the dumping of poison into the sea, the destruction of vegetation, and the rising of the sea, and also the overwhelming sun that is standing stark and wild. The use of stark and wild are also personifications that lend to the descriptive that this place has been ruined by the actions of the coastal communities. The unknown tribe now selects a delegation of 100 to meet the coastal community. We now see an issue of governance, of diplomacy, of strength, of power. They arrive on the backs of giant tortoises, famed by Eastern myths to increase potency, but trained by the tribe to be loyal servants and talented magicians. So, instead of using horsebacks as many other tribes around the world, or cars, or flights, and so on, they come on tortoise back. This is unique, and it reiterates the fact that they are an unknown tribe, which is part of the title of the poem, as well as the first line. So they come on tortoise back, but also to make linkages to the societies that live around there. It is said that these particular tortoises are not strange, but they are famed in Eastern myths to increase potency, but they are trained by this tribe to be loyal servants and talented magicians, which means they have a psychic aspect as to their nature. I then go now to say that in the dialect of the Guamo people, the tortoises were called Lokoro. This attempt to give a name to the tortoises is to help the audiences not to be too lost in the myths, in the mystery of the Guamo people, is to make them to sink into the reality that they are dealing with a tribe, despite being unknown, that has got attributes that are like men. They have names of things, including the tortoises they are riding on, and these names are very relevant because it helps to make us to see that they have a point to seek what they are trying to resolve. And the tortoises are called Lokoro in their dialect, which means they have a language. So they are like the people of Madagascar and the rest of the world. So to meet the coastal villagers and lay their complaint via singing, the trained bird of the scarus family, we now have a name to the bird. Lokoro is the name of the tortoises, and Senen is the name of the bird of the scarus family. Senen or Kenen, if we go by etymology, will be linked towards the Bayang people of the Manu division of Cameroon, which means, in a way, I'm trying to give a Bantoid touch to the tribe that has not been known, and also to give a linguistic linkage between this tribe and other tribes of Africa in order to draw sympathy and attention to the creation and the work and the poetry. So the coastal villagers gave them meat, which they denied for coconut water, which means that the tribe from Guamo is living a very humble life. They refuse meat and they preferred coconut water, and the discussions continued despite the fact that they decided to stay on coconut water. So they talk, and the coastal villagers were made to see their ills. The fact that the word talk is repeated twice means that it was a lengthy discussion, and the coastal villagers needed to be convinced to see that they had committed some ills. And it looks like they were refusing to see that. And that is why the discussions or the talking had to drag on. And we now have confirmation that this was the case in the next line. In a puddle of magical water designed to reveal videos of their past indignation upon the islands of Madagascar. So the only way the coastal villagers and communities were made to capitulate was when this tribe the people from Guamo were able to use magic in a puddle of water to go back in time to reveal the ills of the coastal communities on the island, the destruction of vegetation, the pouring of poison or pollution, the causing of the sea to rise, the causing of the sun to stand stark and wild upon the islands. So it was only in a puddle of magical water designed to reveal videos of their past indignation upon the islands of Madagascar where these people were able to see their evil. And so we now realize that these people, even though they are distant, they have modern mechanisms of communication, which is video, even though it is in a way of the mystical and the transcendent in a magical puddle of water. The villagers swear to moderate at any given rate their actions for fear of retaliation from the tortoises now flaming with fire and snorting thunders from glowing nostrils. So you realize that there is a measure of diplomacy and of threats here, because the tortoises are now said to be flaming with fire and snorting thunders from glowing nostrils, which means they decided to frighten the villagers of the coastal communities to be able to see that their actions will not be accepted any longer. And even though they had come to negotiate, it is going to be possible for them to sanction them with their might if they do not follow the rightful pattern. So the villagers swore to moderate at any given rate their actions for fear of retaliation from the tortoises now flaming with fire and snorting thunders from glowing nostrils. Then after midnight, Jengele, the head of the unknown tribe, salutes his host and orders his men to mount their tortoises back to expectant Guamo. So you now see that the leader has got a name, and his name is Jengele. They are traveling at midnight. The head of the unknown tribe salutes his host. He says, "Thank you," and then orders his men, his 100 strong men, to mount their tortoises. The use of mount is suggestive that these tortoises are giant tortoises, and for men to be able to mount them, it means that they are capable of carrying men. And so we now see that there's a gigantic nature to the animals, and also there is a strength of the animals in order that they can be able to carry these people right into the heart of the jungle or to Guamo. And then we also see the fact that Guamo, which is a distant village, is given humane qualities with the word expectant Guamo. It means that since they have not been used to mixing up with other people, Guamo is now expectant, and so it is expecting that its children will come back with good news from the coastal communities. So before they left, they promised on their own part to pray to their Almighty God, Mandem. Mandem is also a word that has been coined from the deviant parlance in order to give some generic or root cause to this mission, or to make it to have a global and regional and human aspect, in that it is a language that is understood by contemporary humans, and also that seems to have some kind of relation with the tribe from Guamo. So there is a possibility of linking maybe the roots of this contemporary tribe to their natives in the forest that are unknown. So these people, they promised before leaving that they will ask their God. It means they are religious, or they believe in a supernormal force, to refreeze unfrozen lands and across the earth, and to bring again life and sunshine upon the coastal villages. We now see that they are trying to convince the supernormal, the supernatural, to refreeze the unfrozen lands. It's like saying that the Arctic that has been destroyed by climate change and the actions of man should be refrozen through prayers across the earth to bring again life, rejuvenation, and sunshine, which is happiness, upon the coastal villages. So the poem ends with a hopeful note that through the prayer of the people from Guamo, it is going to be possible for life in the coastal communities around Madagascar to come back to normal. So we have to believe, because the prayers are being engineered by a tribe that is supposedly metaphysical. They were able to will a bird to come and listen to human languages for 10 years and to help them to understand the people of the coastal communities. They come with tortoises that are famed to be tortoises that can increase potency, but that have been trained by them to be veritable magicians. They are capable of going back in time to reveal videos in puddles of water about the negative actions against the environment by the coastal communities. And so maybe there is a possibility that their prayers will also work. Thank you very much for tuning in to my Poetry Corner, and I hope you enjoyed the poem, which is a metaphysical poem that was aiming to link our experiences and problems on the planet with a way of solving the problems from the metaphysical